For the third consecutive year, the Pittsburgh Pirates have drafted the MLB's new number one prospect, which is kind of a wild thing to say, but it is true here. And for the first time, we're going to see the Submarine machine, Thomas Coyle, pitch at the Double-A level. Coming in, he's already 76 overall, so there will be some questions as to how long he stays at this level and in the minors in general. One thing I will say is I feel like my criteria for calling up pitchers is maybe even a little bit higher than I sometimes have for hitters, in terms of just I've seen when you're calling up pitchers that are in the 70s, sometimes it's not working out. That doesn't mean I'm not going to call Coyle up in the 70s at all, but I do definitely want to see some good upgrades and some just good production across the board. Now, one thing working in his favor is he does have a pretty well-rounded skill set coming out of the draft, does not have a lot of weaknesses to talk about here, and as you've probably noticed by now, there is no audio for this part of the video. I don't know what happened, and I apologize for it, but no game audio. It would be fixed by the time I got to the future gameplay that we'll be having after this Thomas Coyle start. But I know there was a comment talking about a potential Thomas Coyle call-up this season. I don't imagine that's going to be the case. I think he'd have to just have an absolutely insane season. And, we did that with Billy Fink last year, but I think that was a rare case of a guy already coming into the 80s and also just playing insane baseball when he was, raking in the minors. So I think it's a tougher road for Coyle to get that first season call up. I'd project next season for him as the most likely option here. Now, another thing you need to talk about with Coyle is what you just saw right there. One of the pitches in his repertoire, there were a lot of opinions about his pitches when he was drafted. And for the most part, I like to, at this point, err on just not making changes when you can help it here, as we get a double play here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Still no runs allowed in his debut. Generally speaking, I err on the side of just not making these changes, but one thing I would like to say is one of his pitches is a 12-6 curve, which there was a comment about that maybe not making as much sense from that arm slot. And I think I agree with that. That's very much so a vertical curveball, from the 12 to the 6 on the clock, which seems to work better from an over-the-top type of throwing motion. So I've considered potentially changing that pitch to a sweeper or something that has more of that horizontal break, which I think makes more sense from his preferred arm angle. And he throws it very differently. You can see that fastball right there, even though it was for ball four, very much so comes from more of the underhanded allotment there. But when he throws the curve, it definitely changes how he's throwing the ball a lot, I feel like. And so, I don't know. I'm fine with keeping the 12-6 curve ultimately, but I wouldn't mind maybe changing it to a pitch that also makes a little bit more sense with his arm angle. Ultimately, 6 innings for Thomas Coyle in his Double-A debut. And the Double-A squad for the Pirates would pick up the victory as well. Liked a lot of what we saw from Thomas Coyle in his first start, and I'm excited to see what he can do going forward in this season and what his production will be. But I want to focus most of this episode on the Major League squad. Normally in our second episode of every season, we've focused more on the minor leagues, but I think something that will just maybe be a theme of this season is, for the most part, I feel like we're going to be focusing heavily on our MLB squad for this season, trying to get a good amount of gameplay, more than we've gotten in previous seasons, because the team's good. As a throwing error from left field will advance the runners to second and third. That's Jim Guillen, one of the better draft picks from last season, already on the Cubs roster as a reliever. Started as a 77 overall, but does get relieved after allowing the hit there. Billy Fink striking out on that inside pitch, making it 2 outs here, tied 5 runs apiece. And Brian Reynolds, unable to keep the inning going, will head into the 8th inning tied here with the Chicago Cubs. Jumping forward here to the next critical situation, we've got bottom of the 9th, down a run, David Yan to the plate. He's also been great for us here to start this season, and he gets another hit on the board here. Should be extras, and Yan slides into second safely. A runner in scoring position. The tying run is on the base pass. Yan coming in clutch for us here to kick off the 9th. Can we get him across now, though? That's the question. Joe Adell. He strikes out on the sweeper beneath the zone. Porter Hodge pitching here for Chicago. Sweeney, a chopper over to second, and all of a sudden, we're in danger of wasting this leadoff double. The 9-hitter, Triolo. Grounder to third, and the throw is on time, and the Cubs are victorious. No go here for Pittsburgh in our first look during the month of April. Dropping one here to the Chicago Cubs. Let's hop into another one here. The bases are loaded for George Soriano, the man we selected in the Rule 5 draft this last off season. Can he get himself out of a difficult situation here? We only need the 1 out. Force out at any base. This one is going to get through the infield. Chicago will tie this game up. Soriano unable to get the crucial out. Pittsburgh off to a great start to the season, but could be dropping 2 in a row here to the Chicago Cubs, who were not great last year at all, and are the team that will be selecting number 1 overall in this season's draft. We get the out there, but it's now tied. Colin Holderman into the game for the 7th. Still a tied ball game here. Runners on first and second for Chicago. Joe Adell nabs that 1 out in center field for out number 2 of the inning. Michael Busch up to the plate for Chicago, and the sinker is in for strike 3. Holderman keeps it to a tie ball game here. Can the offense now come out and take a lead? Spencer Horwitz at the plate here. Runners on first and second. He hits this one into the gap, and just short of a home run off the top part of the wall, but the Pittsburgh Pirates will take the lead here. Bottom of the 8th inning with a 2-run double courtesy of Spencer Horwitz. So far this season, he does have the lowest average on the team, but comes through in a major way for the squad right there. Sweeney 2 for 2 today. Trying to keep the 8th going for Pittsburgh, but we'll have to settle for taking the 2-run lead. Top of the 9th now, Jojo Romero trying to close this one out. Runners on first and second, and we'll get a sacrifice to advance the runners here. We've got a non-real player here, a generated player hitting leadoff for the Cubs. Only 68 overall, but he's got some really good leadoff hitting abilities. I think that's a fun player, even at 68 overall, to be able to hit leadoff successfully, although he does get struck out here by Romero. Fun player nonetheless. And not, just proof that not every overall is created equal. As long as you only want him to DH and hit for contacts, you'd think of him as much higher than 68 overall. However, if you wanted to do anything else, he's not going to be able to. JoJo Romero, so good for us last year as a closer. Did not have many blown saves. He's going to get one here as a 2-run single ties this game back up at 4 apiece. Peter comes into the game for Romero, and a nice throw from Rodriguez will end the inning. But now we're in extras, top of the 10th, as the Cubs have 2 runners on base. This one slow all the way back to the wall, and a Chicago run will score off of it. Runners on second and third once more. Owen Casey up to the plate, and a diving attempt by Triolo is going to score another Chicago run, and we would drop our second consecutive game to our division rivals here in front of the hometown fans. We started off so well here, but lost the series here to Chicago to start the month. Now let's hop into some Astros action. Carmen Mlodzinski pitching for us here with the Pirates up 2 runs, top of the 8th inning. That was a much needed out there, the second of the 8th. That will be the end of the day for Mlodzinski despite getting the out, but it looks like it's going to be a potential 4-out save from Romero, trying to get a better matchup against Robert, but he will hit that one fair down the third base line, and Houston scores another run. We just have seen Romero blow a save. We don't want to see it happen again. Diving off the glove from Chisholm, but the throw still beats the runner, and we're into the 8th. Middle of the 8th for the offense. No runs aboard, so now JoJo Romero will try to finish off the save here in the 9th. No room for error at all. Starts the inning off with a strikeout. Altuve up. That one right on over to Chisholm, and the shift there works. Chisholm was ready for that. 1 out needed now. Jeremy Pena right back to Chisholm. He's been active here in the 9th, and the Pirates finally do come out victorious here in our third critical situation. Romero comes in and gets the job done. Looked a little shaky there when he came in for the 8th, but an excellent 9th inning, and the Pirates are victorious. That's the 7th save of the season for Romero. Well, let's shift gears and watch some offense now. We've been paying attention to some pitching lately. A tie ball game here, top of the 7th inning. 2 for 2 so far for Billy Fink here on Jackie Robinson Day. And a double steal, trying to take advantage of the pitch in the dirt. The runner at third could not get there in time. So we lose a runner, but get one right back as Fink is able to draw the walk. Going against Trevor McGill. Albert Sweeney up and swinging through the knuckle curve. The score will remain tied between the Yankees and the Pirates here. Top of the 8th now. Yankees put a run on the board, so it's 5-4. Reynolds with 2 outs, unable to keep the Pirates alive here. So we've got a 1-run deficit to overcome here. Top of the 9th, Jazz Chisholm singles here to lead it off. Our best hitter a season ago. Off to a solid start again this year. Not maybe quite as good as last year, but still looking good. Billy Fink, on the other hand, hitting .377 up to this point in the season. Strikes out. Swinging through that pitch. Sweeney could have maybe been a double play, but mishandled it first. So the Yankees will have to settle for the 1 out. That's going to bring up Andy Rodriguez. He's been in the game a couple of times now, and he comes through for the Pirates here. That should tie this game, and it does. 5 runs apiece now. Joe Adell over to third, and could have been another double play. He's been a double play specialist, but only needed 1 out there. Into extras, Victor Robles makes it a runner on first and second for Triolo. What kind of janky order did we use for this game? Why is Jared Triolo hitting second and Victor Robles hitting first? I don't know. That's certainly not the lineup that I made for this season. Now, Brian Reynolds. Can he get some Pirates runs aboard? Yes, he can! A 3-run blast from Brian Reynolds gives Pittsburgh the lead here in extras. That's Brian's 4th home run of the season. And it puts the Pirates in an excellent position here to win one in hostile territory. 405 feet off the bat, 105 miles an hour off the bat, went 405 feet on the homer, and that would ultimately be enough for the Pirates to come in and win this ball game. Brian Reynolds has one of the highest clutch ratings we have on the team, and he showed just why here to win us this ball game. Nearly had another blown save from Jojo Romero, but, nearly doesn't count. Only counts whether or not he did save it or not. Bubba Chandler here, still pitching into the 7th inning, going against the Phillies team that it feels like we've watched play maybe as much as anybody so far in this series. We've seen a lot of Philadelphia. And he had a shutout going here into the 7th, but that is no longer, as the Phillies tie this game up at 1 apiece. Rafael Marchand, he's up to the plate, and that's going to be back-to-back hits for the Phillies. That will lead to back-to-back runs. And now the home team is leading this game. Maybe shouldn't have brought Bubba Chandler out here for the 7th. Could have been just, a good quality 6-inning start. Instead now, the Pirates will have to come back from behind. Holderman into the game here to try and get us out of the 7th without allowing any more runs. He starts it off with a strikeout there. Now it's Dalton Varsho up to the plate. Holderman gets the sinker painted on that lower inside corner, excuse me. Beautiful pitch there for back-to-back punch-outs for Holderman. Leadoff hitter now at the plate for the Phillies, and this one is lifted to center. Joe Adell, with a flash of the glove, able to reach out and snag it. Holderman comes in and does his job. What can the Pirates now do? Jan will not ground into a double play as the throw from second will pull Harper off of the bag. Joe Adell. Now that's going to be a double play. He's so good at it, man. It's honestly been pretty funny because he's actually playing quite well for us in simulation. His Albert Sweeney, top of the ninth, nearly gets an extra base hit, just foul by a hair. Going against Ryan Helsley now on a 101 fastball. Catches him lacking. Triolo. He swings through a slider. And now it all comes down to the final batter here, but it's Billy Fink, maybe nobody else in the lineup we'd rather have than Billy Fink to depend on here. Can he keep the game alive for Pittsburgh? Yes, he can. Fink, yeah, baby. This game is tied. The rookie phenom, Billy Fink, continues his really impressive start to the season. 2 outs, top of the 9th. We needed him to come through, and he did so in a major way. Let's go, baby. You gotta love Billy Fink. Such an impressive player. He's hitting for a pretty insane average right now. The power has been there as well. He came into this game second in the NL behind only Shohei Ohtani in home runs, and that one, unless Shohei also homered the same day, would tie him for first in the National League. Not only is he hitting for average, he's hitting for some serious power as well. Another strikeout there for Helsley would finish off the inning. Bottom of the 9th, we get to see Will Vest for the first time for the reigning reliever of the year. Signed him in free agency to a 1-year deal. Let's see what he can do here. Just 1 out away from forcing extra innings here, going against the bottom of this Phillies order. Dalton Varsho up next to the plate. He cracks one to right field. Robles giving chase, but it's not going to matter. Varsho walks it off here, bottom of the 9th. And the Billy Fink home run is all for naught, as the Phillies come away victorious on a walk-off homer, man. I want some of these walk-offs to be in our favor. You know what I mean? I feel like all the walk-offs in this series have been us losing the game. It hurts my soul. It really, really does. Before hopping into our next critical situation, I just have to take a quick pause to shout out Ben Eplin here for becoming a member on the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot, and I hope you enjoy the members-only content that we have already released and will continue to release alongside Pirates franchise and beyond. Let's get back to it. So let's hop into one final critical situation here for the episode. I changed my criteria a little bit so that we could watch earlier on into these games and also maybe watch more of these games. This is the first time kind of trying this style of critical situations rather than hopping into, one situation, maybe two, just kind of hopping into a game and seeing it through kind of once we hopped in. You'll have to let me know what you thought of the format of this episode. Up to now, it's been very gameplay, very action heavy so far for the squad, and I wanted to hop in and see how this team was starting. Now, despite the fact that we've lost a lot of these critical situations today, we are doing really, really well. It's just a lot of our wins aren't particularly close, so they're not going to trigger scenarios for us to hop in. But I honestly thought this was my first attempt at actually making a longer episode. But it turns out when you watch the games this way, either you watch it like we're watching this final critical situation where we watch every pitch, or it actually doesn't take as long as I thought. We're still going to be around like a 30-minute episode today. I thought this was going to be much, much closer to an hour, as Victor Robles finally gets a run aboard top of the 8th with 2 outs. A pitcher's duel up to this point in the game. This is a Paul Skenes start, by the way. We'll look at his stats later. He's been playing insane. But now it is time to see if David Yan can keep it going. David Yan! Gone for 424 feet. He is dangerous against left-handed pitching. And we went from 0-0 to 4-0 in a hurry. courtesy of Robles and Yan. These two rookies are changing Pittsburgh Pirates baseball from the beginning of their careers. They are already making massive impacts. They've honestly maybe been our two best hitters so far this season. I don't even think, well, again, we'll get to the stats a little bit later at the end of this video after we're done watching this game. As Joe Adell, we're still not done here in the 8th. I guess without a runner in a scoring position, there's no way he can ground it to a double play, right? But also with 2 outs, you can't ground into a double play, but that's besides the point. These two guys have come in and produced so incredibly well. Also, Albert Sweeney, often gets overlooked because of how awesome Yan and Fink are, but it's his rookie year as well. In fact, opening day was his MLB debut, and I kind of just glossed over that fact. But he's been hitting pretty well as well. For somebody that I thought was maybe not producing to the level that I wanted in the minors, he's coming in the majors and hit just perfectly fine for that DH/first base spot. Hasn't been as good as the other two, but he's been perfectly capable of what I was hoping that he could do for us this season. Still hitting at the bottom of the lineup, but that's just because we honestly at this point kind of have a pretty strong lineup on the squad. Full count pitch for Albert Sweeney here is going to be popped up to center field. Merrill giving chase and runs it down. 4 runs, though, in the 8th would be enough to secure the victory as the Pirates shut out the Padres here in this game. Going to be a nice looking start for Paul Skenes, even though we didn't watch him pitch at all. His numbers are excellent, and he'll pick up the win now. 4-0 on the season for Paul Skenes. He hasn't been getting a lot of wins in his previous seasons. Looks like that might be changing this year. That's going to end off the episode here for the month. And one thing I'll probably be doing for this season is, rather than kind of, as I have been in the past, going through all the players and kind of how they're doing, I want to highlight maybe some of the best and some of the most disappointing performances instead of, rather than everybody. But one thing I do got to say is this top 3 of our pitching staff are all doing so incredibly well. We are 25-10 at the end of May. We're playing really good baseball, and these 3 have been big catalysts for that. We're not getting as much from the other 2 pitchers in our rotation. I know these guys just recently got rocked, and their numbers look worse than they did even a couple weeks ago. But Keller, Jones, and Skenes are all pitching really well. Jones and Keller are both kind of fighting for who's going to be the long-term Pirates pitcher after this year, and they're both making really strong cases to be that guy thus far. In terms of our best hitter, it's been Billy Fink. Already this guy is making a massive impact. 126 at-bats on the season for him. He has already hit 10 home runs. His slugging percentage is at a .667 and an OPS above 1,000. He's already gotten above the 2 WAR threshold, and he's already increased an additional 2 overall. Already an 89 overall, getting power boosts already, and he has just been insane. He got off to that rough start in his spring training debut, but ever since then, he's been absolutely raking, as has David Yan. These 2 rookies have come in and made immediate impacts towards the success of this franchise. David Yan is just an insane drawer of walks. His discipline goes up so much every single year. He has more walks than strikeouts right now, and his OPS is even higher than Billy Fink's right now. So both of these rookies, it's impossible for them to keep it up if we're being real, but it would be awesome if they somehow could, because they are both insane. They're not going to keep this level of production up, but they're both showing that they were very much so ready for the show this season. And those are the highlights, I think, for this 25-10 Pirates ball club. Right now, we already have a 7-game lead on the division, with the Reds being the only other team above 500 so far. It's been an awesome start here to the season, and I'm excited to continue the Season 4 story in the next episode, and I will see you then. Let's go Bucks.